Then Zoom calls hit. With the pandemic, everyone's working remotely. I was on Zoom calls all day long. All day I would hear, "All right, everybody turn your video camera on." If we're going to take mental health in the workplace seriously and create cultures of mental well-being and psychological safety in all of our organizations, one of the first things we got to do is liberate ourselves from this, it's become this tyranny of video conferencing. Video conferencing, it's like black licorice. You either love black licorice or you hate black licorice. There's no in between. Video conferencing, the exact same way. You either love it, it gives you energy, you hate it, it drains you of all of your energy. And it's if you hate it and it drains you of energy, it impacts your performance, it impacts your productivity, it impacts your participation in whatever video call you're on to begin with. And it very likely, if you walked into that conversation sad with depression, fearful or worrisome with anxiety and panic, you probably left that video call, if you were forced to be on video, with more depression, with greater fear, worry, anxiety, and panic. To create psychologically safe organization, if we're going to liberate ourselves from this tyranny of video, it's just one thing we got to do. It's really easy, it's really simple, and it's just make video optional. That's all. It's not any more complicated than that. Here's a personal story that highlights the point. For years, I struggled with looking at people in the eye when I talk with them. You hear everywhere, if you can't look at people in the eye, they're not trustworthy. If they look up here or they look over there, they're thinking this or they're thinking that. I couldn't figure it out. I think I'm a trustworthy person, but I always struggled looking at people in the eyes. I was in a performance evaluation once, and my leader said, Adam, I noticed over the years that you struggle looking at people in the eye. And he says, people could interpret that the wrong way. I didn't know what to do. At the time I shared, sometimes I do my best thinking when I'm looking off into space. It's why I'm in this meeting at the time of performance evaluation, and I was looking off into space as I was talking to him. The sense of looking out into the distance without looking into the eyes of somebody allows my brain to think more freely. That was the end of the conversation. I worked on it, kind of, but not really, because it just doesn't feel right to me. Then Zoom calls hit. And with the pandemic, everyone's working remotely. I was on Zoom calls all day long. And all day I would hear, "All right, everybody turn your video camera on. All right, who's not being too shy today? Put your video camera on." Or in some cases, it's an absolute requirement. Turn your video camera on now, right? We were cajoled, manipulated, forced to turn your video on. And every time that happened, I was anxious. I'd have an anxiety attack. I sometimes had a full-on panic attack. And I'll tell you one thing, I also never understood, listened, fully comprehended whatever was going on in those video conferences for that reason. As one of the 20% of Americans every year who struggle with depression, anxiety, and panic. I was an executive at one of the largest healthcare companies in America. Being on a video call made my performance worse. And when I hung up the phone, I'd be anxious and panicky, and I'd have to find the appropriate self-care so that I could feel better. So then as COVID and the pandemic continued, I just started sharing with people when they asked me to go on to the video conference call. I'd go on it first, and then I'd share on the call. I struggle with my own anxiety and panic. Being on the video makes it harder for me to participate fully and to get the most out of this call. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to go off of video now and just listen to the rest of the call. But if you ever need me to go back on video, let me know and I'll go right back on. And then I would go off video. What I found was, in one case, I was told I must stay on video. But in every other case, I would get emails or messages through instant messaging from, 20 to 30% of the participants who had just heard me say that, say, thank you for saying that. That's exactly how I feel. So, what does that teach you? You're looking around, you're holding a video conference of 20 people. You got 4 to 6 people there. They hate black licorice. Video conferencing sucks them of their energy. Why would you force them to be on a video? Just out of ego? Out of arrogance? That's the only reason. An extrovert who gets their energy from being with people is forcing an introvert to do the same. It's like forcing someone who hates black licorice to sustain themselves on a diet of black licorice for a day. Why do we do that to ourselves? It's not helpful. It's harmful. It's very, very, very hurtful. Making video optional for folk that don't like it and for folk that do like it is really a win-win situation, and it's really easy to do. And I'll give you a couple tips that you can use immediately for the rest of the day, for in perpetuity, that will make this a lot easier for you, your teams, and your colleagues and partners. First, when you have a one-on-one meeting, when you're just meeting with one person, first think, should I just have a phone call or do I need a video call? If there's no purpose for the video nature, why am I just calling the person? Oftentimes, we just have this technology now called video, so we use it when it oftentimes gets in the way and we don't know how that other person's going to feel about it. So especially if you don't know how that other person's going to feel, just err on the side of making it a phone call. That's number one. That's the easiest thing to do. Next, for phone calls and for some relationships and for some certain sorts of conversations, it's nice to see each other at first and then go off video. It's a nice acknowledgement. It feels good sometimes, even for introverts like myself, to start on video and say, how you doing, Brian? What's up, Joe? How you guys doing? It's really nice to see you. It's been so long. If it's okay now, why don't we just all go on audio and we'll take the rest of the call just by listening. And we all introduce ourselves and say hi and wave, and then we just go on audio. It's a nice way to acknowledge friendships, to build relationships. It gives those folks that love the video an opportunity. And by the way, they can stay on video. It's just fine. If you enjoy it, stay on it. And those that don't can go off it. It's really easy. But you did have that one opportunity to see everybody up front. And then again, those folks that don't like the black licorice, go on audio. Next, the third thing. And this is just, it's a blinding flash of the obvious, I suspect. But if you're going to be facilitating or leading a video conference, start it by giving everybody the option. Start it by acknowledging to the entire group, whether it's 5 people or 400 people, that 20% of people in America every year struggle with anxiety, panic, and depression. And so, therefore, being on video calls is pretty harmful for them. And so you give everyone permission at the beginning to, if you enjoy staying on camera, keep your camera on. If you don't enjoy it, if it drains you of energy, feel free to participate in this conversation just by audio alone. That's all you gotta do. Give people choice. This is not rocket science. It's very, very, very simple. It will improve your team's performance. It'll improve individual productivity. It improves team dynamic, how folks integrate with each other. And really, most importantly, it will help keep your employees, your colleagues, your staff, your teammates, the happiest and healthiest selves that they can be. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you use it. Please let me know, as we put these videos out regularly. If this is helpful information, please, like, subscribe, follow. Please leave some comments if you practice any of these tips, or if you have other tips that you want to share with our community here of ideas on how we can, get a healthier environment with regards to video conferencing so that it's a win-win for everybody. Please leave those comments below. And, just everybody have a great day. See ya.